Hello, everybody. Save Robbie here. You're gonna have to forgive me because I have a lozenge. I always have a lozenge in my mouth nowadays, huh? Wow, dry mouth. Is that season? That time of year? Anyways, I would like for you to gather around because I'm gonna be doing a movie review, spoiler free, of The Lost City, and this is starring Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. And if you guys have never seen a movie called Romancing the Stone from the 80s, that is my all-time favorite movie ever. And this movie is the storyline is very reminiscent to it. And there's actually a lot of references to Romancing the Stone in this movie, which I thought they weren't acknowledging Romancing the Stone at all until me and my boyfriend went to the theater and we're sitting there and they actually have a featurette before the movie about Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile. So it's kind of a nod to Romancing the Stone. So that made me happy. But anyways, gather around and we'll get started in just a minute.
No, no, chance, dance, no, no, dance, no, no, chance, no, no, dance, no, no, chance, give me second chances.
That's so cool!
I won! Yay! Ow! Ow!
Okay, so again, this is going to be spoiler free about the movie The Lost City. Of course, I wanted to see this because Romancing the Stone is my favorite movie of all time. And so those movies, you have Romancing the Stone, and then you have the sequel, which is Jewel of the Nile. And it has Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, and Danny DeVito, which is like they're a really good trio in movies together. And so I'm glad they didn't do like a straight remake for this movie, The Lost City, but you can definitely see the references to Romancing the Stone in it. There's even one scene, which again, this is going to be spoiler free, but if you remember Romancing the Stone, they're getting all beat up through the movie, and Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas make it to like the village of this place that they're having these adventures in, and Kathleen Turner goes to a payphone. There is a scene almost like, very artistically put together, much like that scene in Romancing the Stone. But anyways, let's get into The Lost City. The Lost City, basically, it's pretty much the same storyline, except it has its own storyline. It's not Joan Wilder. It stars Sandra Bullock playing a romance novelist by the name of Loretta Sage. And, she's kind of getting tired writing all these novels. Channing Tatum, he plays like a model. And basically he's the model that's on the cover of all of her books. And he's like, the guy that comes in and saves the day in all of her stories. And he's just the model for it. So then you catch yourself back in Romancing the Stone, Kathleen Turner, the main character, her sister gets kidnapped. Well, in this movie, Sandra Bullock gets kidnapped because Daniel Radcliffe, who does really good in this movie. I haven't seen a lot of his movies. I do remember Harry Potter, but I wasn't a big Harry Potter fanatic. But he's from those movies is all I know. And he's really, really funny in this. From the very beginning, this movie is extremely funny and witty, and it's put together very well. There wasn't one moment where I felt bored. Me and my boyfriend were laughing a lot. Like, it wasn't like forced laughs, but basically, Daniel Radcliffe's character, he comes to Sandra Bullock, and she's in this moment in her life where she's about to give up writing these romance novels. And he comes to her because there's like a treasure in this ancient city that he finds, and he needs her help because what she went to school for, she can basically read and translate these messages on like these maps. So, and she turns him down. Of course, you see in the trailer, he doesn't care, and he kidnaps her and takes her away to this faraway land. And that's when Channing Tatum contacts Brad Pitt's character. And Brad Pitt's character is freaking, they're all funny. Channing Tatum is actually really hilarious in this movie. But Brad Pitt's character, he's like a professional at this and like a kick-ass guy. And Channing Tatum basically wants to use him to go to Sandra Bullock and save her. But Channing Tatum wants to take the credit because he wants to prove to Sandra Bullock that he's not just a character on her book and a model. And she doesn't really give a shit. So anyways, that's when the adventure starts. I don't want to go into detail about stuff, but what I do want to say is there's a character in this movie that plays Sandra Bullock's publicist. And the actress's name is Davine Joy Randolph. She plays Beth in the movie, and basically, like just like in Romancing the Stone, Joan Wilder had a publicist as well. But this movie, I will say, is way funnier than Romancing the Stone. Obviously, it's up to times. It's just really funny and it's action packed. But this character right here, the publicist, and this guy on the right that you see, I believe his name in the movie is Oscar. They're hilarious. Like, see, you think in a movie like this, you're like, oh, they can't like do a reboot or remake Romancing the Stone, even though they're not directly saying they're doing that. They really are. And you think that the comedy or like the combination of actors in the movie won't work, but this actually is like, I would say it's right up there with Romancing the Stone. Obviously, Romancing the Stone is a classic, but just the chemistry in this movie between all the characters is really funny. At the beginning, I thought that maybe Brad Pitt, Channing Tatum, and Sandra Bullock would be like the new trio, like Danny DeVito, Michael Douglas, and Kathleen Turner. And then Daniel Radcliffe as the villain, he's actually really, really funny and like a likable villain. Then you think, oh, well, maybe this is the new, Kathleen Turner, Michael Douglas, and Danny DeVito. But really, I think this new character here on the left, the publicist, she's hilarious. She kind of goes on a hunt as well of her own because she loses the author that she's supposed to be keeping track on. But this movie it's really extremely well written and put together. And I was telling my boyfriend when we left, I was like, oh, I hope they make a sequel. And he's like, no, because you don't want to screw it up. But I think they can make a sequel to this just like they did to Romancing the Stone. And it would be just as wonderful and amazing. But throughout the movie, obviously you have Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum going through the jungle, and there he's trying to save her. And then there's this quest to find this treasure. And without giving too much away, I'll say that you never get bored through the movie or anything like that. And there's, again, if you're a fan of Romancing the Stone, this movie has a lot of the same stuff. And I was really surprised to see that they did like a whole Romancing the Stone, Jewel of the Nile featurette before the movie even started, which made me really excited because I was like, wait a minute, I think this movie is like a Romancing the Stone remake / kind of reboot type thing. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe it's not. So when I got in the movie theater and I saw that they were doing that featurette, it made me really excited. Not only that, but there's Easter eggs and there's lots of even camera angles that are filmed, and even some certain scenes that are almost feel like exactly the way it's set up. Like the beginning of the movie, the beginning of Romancing the Stone is basically you're watching Joan Wilder, who the main character in that movie is. You're watching her story play out, and then you find out, and you think it's real, but then you find out, oh, that was just her in her head. They start the movie off the same way. There's a lot of things that they'll give you like a little nudge on your cheek from, back in the day with those good movies, Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile. So this movie, seriously, because you never know. There's remakes all the time. That's why I'm glad it's not a direct remake. So I wasn't disappointed. And I love how they had their own characters. It wasn't the same characters from Romancing the Stone. It was extremely funny and, action packed, and I never got bored. And every single character in this movie is likable, including the villain, which I think is great because that's kind of the same way Romancing the Stone was. You get the romance, you get the action, you get the comedy, and like the good chemistry with everybody involved in the film. So as far as it being on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 sucking and 10 being the best, this is a 10 out of 10, 10 plus, plus, plus. I highly recommend that you guys go see this movie. Especially, I would say seeing it in theaters too, because it was fun seeing it on the big screen. But, if you want to wait, whatever. And I apologize, but I'm extremely tired. Today was an adventurous day, followed by an adventurous movie. Feel me? So anyways, that is my review on this movie. I was going to wait for Lokamai to see this. Lokamai helped me with one of my other movie reviews on here. So once she sees it, maybe we'll do a spoiler review and talk about it because I'm sure she'll have a lot to say about it. Again, great movie, great nudges to, tribute to Romancing the Stone because that movie is a classic. And you know what? If you haven't seen Romancing the Stone, I would say see it before or after the movie. You'll love it just the same either way. But yeah, I was surprised because I was like, oh, Sandra Bullock, I don't know if she would do good in that kind of role. She was hilarious. I mean, obviously she's the star of the movie, but her and Channing Tatum, I didn't realize how funny Channing Tatum is. He's extremely funny and likable, and then you get that taste of like true romance in this movie. So if you have a date and you want to go see it with a date, I highly recommend that because you'll probably end up making out halfway through the movie. Wouldn't that be fun? Make sure you brush your teeth beforehand. And you know what? Don't be eating that nasty shit while you're at the movies either. Nobody wants to make out with nasty food eating pieces of shit. Sorry, I'm getting tired, so I'm going to leave now before I start really cussing you out. Have a good day.
No chance. No dance. No chance. No dance. No chance. Give me second chances.